So if you're new here, you should know that this channel is under a shadow ban. The people who run this platform are purposely blocking my numbers. So I need you to like, subscribe, and share to combat this. Thank you in advance.
Now to Michigan, where James and Jennifer Crumbley, the first parents ever to be convicted in a child's school mass shooting, tonight now sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison each. The Michigan couple together for the first time since their arrest after their son's deadly rampage, their son using a gun they bought him as a gift. The father apologizing in court today, but then the families of the 4 teens who died with their own words for each of those parents. ABC's Trevor Ault from Michigan tonight.
Tonight, the historic sentence for James and Jennifer Crumbley, a Michigan judge sending the parents to prison for 10 to 15 years, the maximum sentence for failing to prevent their son's mass shooting.
These convictions are not about poor parenting. These convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that could have halted an oncoming runaway train.
Despite the warning signs, the Crumbleys bought their son the gun, declining to take him home from school when called in about his disturbing drawings the morning of the massacre. The couple today together for the first time since their arrest, making an appeal for leniency.
Please know that I am truly very sorry. I am sorry for your loss as a result of what my son did.
This could be any parent up here in my shoes. Ethan could be your child.
The families of the 4 children killed rejecting that argument.
It wasn't possible for Hannah to outrun the bullets bought by you, Jennifer Crumbley, which were fired by the 9mm Sig Sauer that you, James, gifted to your son.
Saying Hannah St. Juliana, Justin Schilling, Tate Meir, and Madison Baldwin would all still be alive had the Crumbleys done their job as parents.
When you texted Ethan, don't do it, I was texting Madison, I love you, please call Mom.
The prosecution blasting the Crumbleys' chilling lack of accountability.
They do nothing, and then they come here today, and they claim they're victims.
The judge saying she decided to sentence the Crumbleys beyond the suggested state guidelines because of the catastrophic impact of their crimes.
Each of the defendants' gross negligence has caused unimaginable suffering to hundreds of others as a result of what happened that day.
David, these trials were watched very closely. They are certainly precedent-setting. The first parents held criminally responsible for their child's school shooting. And tonight, the prosecution says James and Jennifer Crumbley have been held to the highest level of accountability under the law in Michigan. David.
Trevor Ault, who has covered this case from the start for us. Trevor, thank you.
Before learning their fate, Jennifer and James Crumbley faced the families of the 4 teenagers. Their son shot dead at a Michigan high school in November 2021.
You failed as parents. The punishment that you face will never be enough. It will never bring her back.
Ethan Crumbley, who was 15 at the time of the shooting, is serving a life sentence for murder. Earlier this year, his parents were convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The court heard they'd ignored the signs their son was potentially violent. They bought him a gun as an early Christmas gift, took him to target practice, and resisted taking him home when concerned teachers showed them his violent drawings on the morning of the shooting. In sentencing them to up to 15 years in jail, the judge said they'd repeatedly missed red flags.
Parents are not expected to be psychic, but these convictions are not about poor parenting. These convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that could have halted an oncoming runaway train.
The Crumbleys said they could not have known what would happen and expressed sorrow for the pain caused.
I sit here today to express my deepest sorrow for the families of Hannah, Tate, Madison, Justin.
My heart is really broken for everybody involved.
The apologies fell flat.
The remorse that they were showing has nothing to do with taking accountability for their actions.
This is the first time parents have been held criminally responsible in a US school shooting. The case could pave the way for others like it, and in a culture of such high gun ownership, it could put parents on notice to at the very least lock up their weapons, so that not more families are left hurting. Barbara Miller, ABC News.
It is a first in our American legal system. A judge has sentenced the parents of a Michigan school shooter to up to 15 years in prison for their role in the 2021 killing of 4 students. Now, the jury found that Jennifer and James Crumbley failed to take steps to prevent the mass shooting that was carried out by their son.
KTLA's Lauren Lister has more on this historic case.
Your Honor, I request that the maximum sentence be enforced, as it will never come close to the life sentence I was given.
An emotional statement made in court by a mother of one of the young victims, as both Jennifer and James Crumbley, parents of a Michigan school shooter, were sentenced to prison for their roles. The Crumbleys each taking a turn to speak.
I sit here today to express my deepest sorrow for the families of Hannah, Tate, Madison, Justin, and to all those affected.
Please know that I am truly very sorry. I am sorry for your loss as a result of what my son did.
The Crumbleys' 15-year-old son Ethan pulled a handgun from his backpack at his Michigan high school one day in November 2021 and started shooting, later pleading guilty to murdering 4 classmates.
It is the sentence of this court, Ms. Crumbley, that you serve 10 to 15 years.
Both of his parents found guilty of involuntary manslaughter after prosecutors presented evidence of an unsecured gun at home and indifference towards their son's mental health.
Parents are not expected to be psychic. But these convictions are not about poor parenting. These convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that could have halted an oncoming runaway train.
This verdict and this sentence is a really big deal.
KTLA legal analyst Allison Treasel reacting, saying when it comes to the parents of a child involved in a mass shooting being held responsible for their actions or inactions that led to it.
It is the first time in America that parents have been found criminally responsible. Although this is the first in the country, I do not believe that it will be the last.